Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious and today we'll be covering the Glacial Tunnels update. It has received a new set of alpha improvements including the new pets and their stats. There's also a lot of other stuff to go over, so without any further ado, let's launch right into it. Starting off, before we get to the pets, I want to briefly talk about the heart of the mountain. We now have the better numbers for the amount of XP you'll need in order to get tiers 8, 9, and 10. You're going to need 210,000 XP to get tier 8, 290,000 to get tier 9, and another 400,000 XP to get tier 10. I checked this before actually getting these, so that's what you know now. Also, the peak of the mountain has gotten tiers 8, 9, and 10. These give you bonus base glacial powder chance, bonus chance of getting glacial mine shafts to spawn, and also 2 more tokens of the mountain, which is pretty damn cool. As you can see, I have these 7 new pets on my hotbar, but before I go over their stats, I want to go over how you actually get them and what the requirements specifically are. I'm going to make the assumption you've already watched my previous video talking about the fossil system. Nothing really has changed in that department, so if you watched that video previously, you're all caught up. Once you actually get 2 versions of every single fossil, you'll be able to come over to the forge and get the pets. The T-Rex requires a footprint fossil and a flawless onyx gemstone. The Spinosaurus requires a spine fossil and a flawless aquamarine gemstone. The Goblin requires the ugly fossil, a flawless amber gemstone. The Ankylosaurus requires the fossil and also the flawless opal gemstone. The Penguin requires the fossil and the aquamarine gemstone of a flawless type. And the Mammoth requires the tusk fossil and the flawless onyx gemstone. If you're wondering where the other pet is, the mole, it's over here. This just requires a claw fossil and 300,000 coins. For some reason, I guess they didn't want it to include a gemstone. Next, moving on to their level 1 stats, we have the T-Rex with strength, crit chance, and ferocity, as well as dealing bonus damage to enemies within 1.5 blocks, and having the ability to have attacks have a chance to stun the target with a 10-second cooldown. Also, stats granted by pet items on this pet will be increased by a certain percentage. The Spinosaurus is a fishing pet that gives you sea creature chance and fishing speed. Sea creatures spawn with a percentage of their health missing, which is pretty cool. You also grant magic find against sea creatures, which is pretty nice. And also during rain, the pet's base stats and stats granted by perks are increased by a certain percentage. The Goblin pet is a mining pet that gives you speed and crit chance. The Pickpocket perk increases the coins obtained by Goblin coin bags by a certain percentage. Also, the King's Scent potion will last a little bit longer on you, which is pretty interesting, and also increases the chance of finding rare Goblin eggs by a certain percentage. The Ankylosaurus is a combat pet, giving you health, defense, and true defense. You also gain a percentage of your defense as strength, which is pretty cool. Unyielding increases the effectiveness of Last Stand and Lifeline by a certain percentage. I know Kudra players are losing their minds right now. Also, Club Tail makes it so that every 5th hit deals 0.5 or more % of your final damage to enemies within 5 blocks. Enemies hit deal 10 less damage for 10 seconds. Next up, we have the Penguin pet. This is a fishing pet with sea creature chance as its base stat. The first perk, Thick Blubber, makes it so that each time you catch a sea creature, reduce your cold by 1. This likely will go up as you level up the pet. The Expert Glacial Fisher perk allows you to gain a fishing speed reduction from being underground, which will be reduced. Effectively, this just makes you be able to fish a little bit quicker, which is pretty nice. Sub-Zero Hero makes you gain certain amounts of fishing speed while in the glacial tunnels. For one of our final pets here, we have the Mammoth pet, which gives you defense and cold resistance. Woolly Coat grants you a certain percentage chance for mobs to not inflict cold on you when damaging you within the glacial mine shafts. Tusk Luck grants you bonus magic find for every 100 mining fortune, which is doubled in the glacial tunnels and mine shafts. Corpse Crusher grants you bonus mining fortune for each frozen corpse looted in your current glacial mine shaft. All of these pets seem pretty interesting, although obviously some are less effective than others. There's also the Mole pet over here, which is a mining pet, which grants you intelligence and mining speed. Archaeologist increases your chance of finding scavenged items in the mines of Devon by a certain percentage. I really like this perk. Also, Blind as a Mole grants you a percentage chance for Professor Robot to ask for one less part. Once again, really like this perk. And completing the trio, Nucleic Explorer grants you a chance to receive an extra drop when completing the Crystal Nucleus. In my opinion, despite this pet requiring the least overall items, I really like it the most because of all of the buffs to the Crystal Nucleus and the farming that goes on there. As well as this, the admins also made some changes to the Glacial mineshafts. Basically, you're not able to deal as much damage with your sword anymore. You'll have to use pickaxes or drills, which is based on some new dialogue from a guy standing in the base camp. They've also made some changes to the weights of the loot tables of the frozen corpses. I think this generally makes them a little bit stronger than they previously were. In the first alpha, there wasn't really much of a reason to go after them or at least get the keys for those items, but now there might be. Also, they've made some changes to how mineshaft generation works. Basically, the crystal ones are going to be a little bit rarer, that's what I was able to glean from it, but obviously we're going to have to wait and see how everything shakes out. In terms of other changes and additions, there are 2 new fairy souls associated with this update. The first is found underneath this lake in the back area of the Glacial tunnels. Basically, you just have to go underground, and as you can see, there's a little hole in the wall here that you can obviously break with some Super Boom TNT. Then you head over here, and boom, there's the fairy soul. In terms of the second fairy soul, I'm going to be completely honest, I have no idea where it is. It could be somewhere within the mine shafts, or it's in the tunnels and I'm just a little bit stupid, but either way, if it is found, I will put it in the comments below, so watch out for that. Overall though, I do think this update is incredibly solid and is much improved by the 7 new pets. All of them have some strategic uses, obviously some of them are better than others, but I do think all 7 of them have a purpose, and that will be really good for the game as a whole. On top of this, I really do think we're going to get some more fishing content related to this update. They added a fishing pet associated with it. I don't know why we haven't seen new sea creatures, but we probably will in the near future. At the end of the day though, my name's Derailious, thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future fellas, I'll see you then.